looking out for his billionaire buddies at the expense of working people, SNAP benefits, Medicaid, and all that. And I just can't see how you could even think that that's would pass. I mean, I get it. We want to go back to the good old days and talk about the Redskins and all that kind of stuff. But we're not there now. That's not the life. That's not the world we live in now. And if you have taken care of everything else, then hey, go ahead and do it. But I don't think it makes much sense to put working people, seniors, disabled, put all the regular people that you have to deal with and their needs on the back burner while we take care of billionaires. I don't care how you slice it. That just isn't right. And people are going to remember that for the next election. And I don't think they want to, but they're going to be forced to because it's just not good. And I wanted to ask you, when will the written testimonies be required? Because I want to give you a written, long drawn out statement. But I just wanted to kind of give you my comments for tonight.
And thank you very much for your comments. We really do appreciate it. Our next witness is Sava Shanahitis. Apologize if I'm mispronouncing your last name. To be followed by Claire Hacker. Sava, you can begin your testimony. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Sava Shanahitis. I'm a Carver-Langston resident, and I'm here to speak of the future of RFK site. While I remain opposed to the construction of a new NFL stadium at RFK, I recognize the political momentum behind this proposal. Given that reality, I'm here to urge the Council to ensure that any development on this site reflects a forward-looking vision, one that puts children, families, and future generations at its center. A transit-first future, not a parking lot past. Right now, the RFK site includes a minimum of 8,000 parking spaces. 2 of the largest garages are located in Kingman Park, a residential neighborhood that has already borne the weight of past stadium traffic and pollution. It is not a coincidence that the Commanders parcels have the smaller garages. This is not just bad design, it's inequitable and unsustainable. A recent analysis shows that even with 2 metro stations nearby, currently there is only 1, it would take over an hour to move just half the stadium crowd after the event, and that is unacceptable. We need a transit-first plan that includes protected micromobility and pedestrian infrastructure that is safe for families, a new infill station at RFK, robust bus service with increased service during stadium uses, and we need to cap the parking at 2,000 spaces total. And the parking should be relocated away from residential neighborhoods, and no widening of existing roads. Let's build for families. More and more families are raising their children in DC. We are one of them. We should be giving them safe sidewalks and protected micromobility lanes, riverfront access, parks and playgrounds, walkable neighborhoods, not tailgates and traffic. Kids deserve to walk and roll to the river, not dodge cars and navigate behemoth parking garages. We must prioritize the development that supports those safe transportation options, shared public space, and equity for longstanding communities like Kingman Park. We should not be open for business, as the mayor commonly puts it. DC should be open to live and raise a family if you choose to do so. The economic analysis does not support the stadium. Let's be clear, the deal does not work for DC residents. Many of the recent analysis show this. We need better protection mechanisms to protect ourselves from not delivering on their promises and to mitigate an already losing option that is exacerbated with giveaways. So my policy priorities for the council to make this right, I urge the council to adopt the following. Build an infill metro station at RFK. Mandate child and family accessible pedestrian infrastructure throughout the development. Cap the parking at 2,000 spaces or fewer. More equitable placement of those garages, and hold the project to enforceable deadlines for the housing, mixed use, and community benefits. In conclusion, this is not just about a stadium, it's about what kind of city we are building, and not to focus on the 20 or 30 days the stadium is in use. So for the other 320-ish days, are we planning for cars and short-term profits, or families, fairness, and long-term values? The data is clear. It does not serve the city's best interest. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony and your patience, for bearing with us. I really appreciate it. Our next witness is Claire Hacker, joining us virtually. You can begin your testimony. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for your patience on this long day and allowing all of us to testify. My name is Claire Hacker, and I'm a resident of Ward 4. I want to start by saying that it is not at all clear to me that any sort of stadium deal is the best path forward for DC. Redeveloping this site is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and it seems deeply unfair that the future of the site is being decided in closed-door meetings rather than through community input. Can you look yourselves in the mirror and honestly say this is what the community wants for the site? DC residents elected you to serve us, not the billionaire owner of a sports team who doesn't live here and flies in private helicopters to attend games of the multiple teams he owns. If the council insists on plowing forward with a stadium deal, several critical issues must be addressed. These are not sufficiently addressed in the latest proposal put forward by Chair Mendelson. First, a stadium deal must not be allowed to pose a financial burden for DC and its residents. As you know, valuable programs and services were cut in this year's budget process, and given that context, it's unconscionable to entertain a deal that would provide over $1 billion in subsidies to the team. DC's Office of the Chief Financial Officer found that these subsidies are not necessary for the team to operate in DC, and the Council Budget Office found that a stadium would fail to pay back these subsidies. Second, a stadium deal must prioritize public transit over parking. The term sheet calls for 8,000 parking spaces housed in the largest parking garages in DC history. These garages would have very limited year-round use, eat up valuable land, and encourage driving, thereby impacting air quality, contributing to climate change, and worsening local traffic. This is an unacceptable use of taxpayer dollars, and the proposed parking must be dramatically reduced. The Transportation Improvement Fund must be expanded and must have specific restrictions to ensure it's used to reduce motor vehicle trips to the site. This includes sufficient funding and concrete plans for a metro infill station, which would benefit residents and visitors year-round. Third, a stadium deal must have greater accountability around the development of housing, including affordable housing. The timeline for such development needs to be accelerated, and there must be strict enforceable penalties if the team fails to meet the requirements. Fourth, a stadium deal must include stronger guarantees for community benefits, such as a guarantee of good-paying jobs, expansion of recreational opportunities, and protection of important existing resources like the skate park and farmers market that exist at the site. Fifth, a stadium deal must require the campus to be net zero in terms of carbon emissions. The site should be an environmental model and push the envelope for DC and other projects across the country. In conclusion, any stadium deal must prioritize DC residents, not only our hard-earned money, but also our land, environment, and well-being. The commanders want to return to DC, and we are in a position to ask for so much more. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your time and for your testimony. We appreciate it. Our next, actually the final witness for this panel is Anders Peterson. Is joining us virtually. You can unmute yourself and begin your testimony. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name is Anders Peterson. Hello, all council members. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony here. I'm sorry for the dark background. My name is Anders Peterson. I'm a 10-year resident of Kingman Park neighborhood in Ward 7. I'm coming here forward to you to oppose the transportation plan that's outlined in the RFK proposal. It relies heavily on vehicle transport to the stadium. It underinvests in transit, and it provides a huge amount of parking lots and additional roads and potential widening onto the Kingman Park neighborhood. The term sheet calls for 8,000 parking spaces and will house up to 3 gigantic parking garages just across from the Kingman Park neighborhood and right near the RFK fields. These garages represent the 3 largest parking garages ever built in DC history. There's just no evidence, as other witnesses have pointed out, that these parking garages are needed. And it's costly, it's expensive, it doesn't deliver for the mixed-use neighborhoods that are going to also move in to the stadium grounds in addition to the stadium. So we want Kingman Park, not Kingman Parking. Many have highlighted that it's financially responsible as well to develop these parking garages for $350 million. The council must now step up to reduce the number of parking spots. The council also needs to consider that revenue sharing may not be the best viable option, because revenue sharing is just a small minimum fix to a much larger issue. The parking lots are so expensive. They are against all the transit needs that are required. They're against everything that the mixed-use development is needed for. So reducing parking is both a much more financially viable solution than revenue sharing, and it's also a much more complete solution. So the parking garages needs to go. A lot of witnesses have also spoken to the need for transit investment. And I do want to recognize that the latest chairman proposal from Chairman Mendelson includes $600 million for potentially highways and metro. Now, what we need, as others have pointed out, is we need the infill station to be specified in writing. We need an infill station at Benning Road. Not only will it serve the game day visitors, but it will also serve the new mixed-use community of residential neighborhoods. It will serve the restaurants. So it is just a much better deal for getting modern urban development in this neighborhood. So we need the infill station, and the council needs to step up to fund both the planning and construction of that infill station. That needs to be specified so that those money cannot be used
Peterson,
for other things like
thank you
highway
for
widening
your
and other
testimony.
things.
We really do appreciate you taking the time to provide
Thank you very
your
much.
testimony to the council. Thank you for your testimony. I'm going to turn to my colleagues to see if they have questions for the witnesses on this panel. We had a number of witnesses on this panel with some really important testimony. We'll start with Councilmember Anita Bonds. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Chairman. I do not have questions as I think about it being 10:35, and I know we still have another 50 or so names. We truly appreciate you being here, and I especially am very interested in hearing from those who live in this community. I'm very familiar with the community. I have relatives from time ago, but there were relatives of mine that lived in that community, and so it's nice to hear you fighting for your community and what you think will work best for it. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Bonds. Councilmember Robert White.
Thank you, Chairman McDuffie. Thank you to all of you who testified. It was some very thoughtful testimony in this in previous panels. For the sake of the folks who are behind you, I'm not going to ask any questions, but I have been reading testimonies that were submitted and the ones that come in. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Felder.
Thank you, Mr. McDuffie. Thank you to all of the public witnesses. Special shout out to all of Ward 7 public witnesses. I'll resist my question because I do want to respect my council's colleagues and other folks who are behind you.
Thank you, Councilmember Felder. Councilmember Janice Lewis George is joining us virtually. You have any questions for this panel? You're muted, Councilmember. Unfortunately, we still can't. It doesn't look like you're muted any longer, but we can't hear you. Okay. We're noting that you're with us, and we want to make sure that we get a chance to hear from you soon. Councilmember Charles Allen, actually, Councilmember Christina Henderson.
Thank you, Chair McDuffie, and I was able to listen to all of the witnesses who testified on this panel, and I think that you all, you have very different perspectives, but you brought up some very interesting things. In the midst of your testimony, we actually got a letter from the commanders that I think addresses some of the things that has been raised throughout today's hearing, and unfortunately, of course, it comes at 9 o'clock at night, but we'll do what we can to make sure that becomes public. But thank you all so much for being here and for sticking with us this evening.
Thank you. Councilmember Charles Allen.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank everybody for your testimony. I know there was a lot of different testimony. I don't think I heard a single person, though, say, you know what I really want is 8,000 parking spots. So I do think we heard a lot of people pretty consistently advocating, rightly, to reduce the amount of parking significantly, prioritize those investments in transit. Councilor Henderson kind of hinted at this. I was going to share a little bit. This has been something I know I've pushed hard on, and I think other colleagues have as well. But this has been, in particular for me, a major priority of any deal that would move forward. And the commanders have sent us a commitment to reduce the amount of parking, to recite parking, and to ensure that the parking plan does not preclude the construction of a new infill Metro Rail station on or near Oklahoma Avenue. It's not everything yet, but I do think that those are significant, and I think it reflects what a lot of we've heard, especially our Kingman Park neighbors have talked about, and something that I've prioritized. So I want to share that with you, and I think it's because of that really loud and consistent, smart advocacy has helped shape kind of this. And like I said, there's an eternity between now and Friday. So there's still a lot more twists and turns, but I do see that as a very positive sign, and I think it is a reflection of the advocacy that has gone into this, because a just wall of parking garages that separate Kingman Park from the fields, from the river, is just not something that we can do, and certainly something I can't support. So I appreciate it and just wanted to share that with you, especially this late hour. I know a lot of folks have been waiting hours and hours and hours to testify, so I want to make sure you know it makes a difference. So thank you all very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Allen. Thank you to all my colleagues. And thank you to this panel. We're going to excuse you all. We really appreciate you all staying as long as you have. We just think it speaks volumes to how important this issue is, and we really want to make sure that we get all the voices of folks who would like to add their voices to this important topic. So thank you for that. We're going to turn next to Tyrell Holcomb, who is joining us in person. Former Ward 7 Councilmember Ivet Alexander is here in person. We're going to keep moving. Bill Sisolak. My apologies if I mispronounce that name. Okay. Brendan Connley. John Harlepes. Okay. Oh. Okay. Both are joining us virtually. Thank you for that. Jason Smith. Kevin Burnett. Daryl Carter. Brett Reynolds, and Kosi Bradley. Oh, okay. Testified all right. Michael Golish, Zoom. Carmen Jean Baptiste. Rahama Wright. Peter Gartrell. Jason Gresh. Tariq Khan is not here. Jerome Page. Thanks. You can join us. Michael Campbell. Al Dosky. Pearlie Brown. Nathaniel Robinson. Joshua Dolne, last name D-O-L-N-E, witness 488. Sidell Moore. Justin Hay is not present. Tyler Sylvester is joining us virtually. Jason Harpster. Jacquellyn Connors. You can join us. Have a seat at the table. Thanks for being with us. All right. Tyrell Holcomb, thanks for joining us. Thanks for your patience. You can begin your testimony. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. Good evening, council members. Thank you for this opportunity to testify on such an important and impactful opportunity for Ward 7 and the residents of the District of Columbia. I'm a proud native Washingtonian and fourth-generation resident of Ward 7, and I offer my testimony today in support of the RFK campus redevelopment in my capacity as chair of the Ward 7 Democrats, but also acknowledge my role as chairperson of ANC 7F, which is directly next to the RFK campus site located at ANC 7D. I vividly remember these same conversations some 20 years ago around Nationals Park. I recall at the funeral of an 8-year-old Chelsea Cromartie who was murdered by gun violence, Reverend Willie Wilson, making the remarks that we needed major league investments, major league schools in our communities instead of just a major league stadium. That message still rings true today. While most of our city has enjoyed economic growth, Ward 7 has waited for transformative investment. That's why I stand in strong support of the RFK campus redevelopment. As Councilmember Wendell Felder says, it's Ward 7's time. This project is an opportunity to create inclusive economic opportunity for Ward 7 and beyond. While I share this optimism, it must be paired with a commitment to get better and ensure this project delivers for our communities. As Mayor Marion Barry often reminded us, we must always look out for the last, the least, the lost, and the left out. That means a strong, enforceable community benefits agreement, including tripling the CBA to $150 million, $45 million for Ward 7, $15 million for each other ward. The CBA should be in the term sheet and enforced through oversight. We must also ensure we prevent displacement of long-term residents by freezing property taxes for residents who are vulnerable as homeowners, ensure promised housing is built, and that the Hill East redevelopment stays on track. Guarantee that residents working at the stadium have the opportunity to live nearby, commit at least 20% of the contracts to Ward 7 and East of the River-based small local women and minority-owned businesses. Connectivity matters too, and so we've heard this evening about parking dynamics, but we must be mindful of the communities that surround the neighboring bridges that connect you to Ward 7. This isn't just about a stadium. It's about a catalyst for an even greater economic opportunities that await. For too long, Ward 7 has been told we're on the menu and that we've got to wait. Wait for development, wait for grocery stores, wait for investments. Wait has turned into never. And I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Now is our time for a seat at the table, and we refuse to accept or settle for crumbs.
Thank you for your testimony. Our next witness is Brendan Connley, joining us virtually. Thanks for being with us. You can begin your testimony. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Council Member, and good evening. Thank you to all the members of the D.C. City Council for holding today's hearing and for all of your work and the work of many others for getting us to this moment. And I should also give credit and say thank you to the Council for having this open session to hear directly from the public and going late into the evening to do that. My name is Brendan Connley, and I'm a resident of Ward 6. I was born in D.C. I went to high school here in the city. I've spent nearly my entire adult life living and working in the district, and now I'm proud and deeply grateful to be raising a family here. In fact, in just a few months, we will be welcoming a new member of our family, and I could not be prouder to raise my family here in the district. This team holds a special place in my heart, as it does for so many others who've spoken today. Through thick and thin, this team has been more than just a franchise. It has been a uniquely unifying force in this area, a common thread across generations, and a deep source of pride for our shared community. Tonight, I'm thrilled to testify before this body in support of this plan to build the stadium at the RFK Memorial site and bring the team back to our great city where it belongs. I'm excited for what this means for the fans and for the future of the franchise, but far more than that, I'm excited for what this historic, transformational investment means for our great city and our great community. As a proud resident of the District of Columbia in Ward 6, only 5 city blocks from the RFK site, I urge every member of the City Council to support this plan to build the Washington Football Team Stadium in its true home in D.C. and to create something special for the next generation of Washingtonians and for generations to come. Thank you very much, and I hope everybody gets some sleep.
Thank you very much, and hopefully you're collecting your sleep credits with that newborn on the way. Congratulations. Our next witness is John Harle, who's joining us virtually. Thanks for joining us. You can begin your testimony. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is John Harle, and I'm a lifelong patron of the city. I'm here today to speak in opposition to the proposed public funding of a new Redskins Stadium at RFK campus. I want to start by saying that I'm humiliated by the fact that 500 people had to be crammed into one day so the team could make modifications. That should tell this council that we need to take a longer view of this deal and have a much, much deeper dive than just one day. We've heard time and again that stadiums are supposed to spark economic growth, create jobs, and bring revenue into cities. Many people have talked about that. I've spent almost 13 hours watching over 470 people before me talk about, some have talked about this, but decades of independent research from across the political spectrum, from institutes like Brookings and Cato Institute, have shown us that these promises simply don't come true. In study after study, we find no meaningful evidence that publicly funded stadiums deliver real economic value. No significant increase in jobs, no rise in local incomes, no long-term benefits for communities that pay for them. What these projects do instead is redirect public money, our money, away from places it's most needed. $1 billion for a stadium is $1 billion not spent on our schools, our public transportation, our housing system, or our infrastructure. This is not an investment, it's an allocation. Meanwhile, we're being asked to foot the bill for a private franchise owned by Josh Harris, a man whose net worth exceeds $8 billion. He has the means to build a stadium on his own, just like Stan Kroenke did in Los Angeles with the SoFi Stadium. That project was privately financed from the start. If the stadium is a good investment, if it's truly going to generate profit and growth, then private capital will back it. There is no justification for shifting that risk onto the public, especially in a city that's dealing with pressing economic, social changes, and an antagonistic Trump administration. We should not be in the business of subsidizing billionaires. The promises being made to justify the deal is always the same. Thousands of construction jobs, booming tourism, neighborhood revitalization. At best, they are exaggerations. Most of the jobs would be temporary. Many of them would be low wage. The tourists and the game day spenders would not be injecting new money into the economy. They were just going to be taking money from one part of the district and giving it to the other. The idea that a stadium creates lasting wealth for a city has been thoroughly debunked. As journalist Neil DeMoss put it plainly, stadiums don't create new wealth. They just concentrate for the owners. The decision you are charged with making isn't just a policy for me. I was raised a Washington Redskins fan. I understand the love of the team. But I also understand as I got older that the cost of this kind of deal, what it actually takes away from the city, what it fails to return, and how the promises made in the name of civic pride too often go unfulfilled. Let me be clear. If the Redskins want a stadium, they can build one, but they should do it with their own money. I thank the council for allowing me to speak, and I hope you have a nice night.
And I hope you have a nice night as well, and I really appreciate you taking the time to put your voice on the record on this very important matter. Our next witness is Michael Golish, joining us virtually. You can begin your testimony. You have 3 minutes.
I'm Mike Golish. I'm a resident of Ward 4. I've lived in Washington since 1971. The Commanders is a profit-making business. They're run by billionaires, and they don't need a subsidy from us. Basically, the money that we're willing to give to them is much better used to provide schools, hospitals, other opportunities for people in this city to make life better. Second of all, football is a very violent-based sport. Just yesterday in New York City, a person who basically attacked the National Football League headquarters because he felt he had brain damage brought on by football injuries. We've seen this going on time and time again across the country. We're a city which is inundated with violence. We don't need a team, a sport which encourages violent behavior, which football does. I'm no fan of football, and the experience of the last few years is maybe much less of a fan. And to spend $1 billion on encouraging a violent sport, to me, is not in the interest of working people in this city. Like I said, the $1 billion is much better used for schools, affordable housing, healthcare in DC. What's going on with this Robert Kennedy site is basically what we see as disinvestment. It's a process that's gone on in Washington for the last 50 years. A certain area, money is not invested in it, public services are not provided, the area deteriorates, investors come along and say, we can do something better. The territory is sold to them, they displace the people that live in that area, they build something that's profitable to them. That's what happened to the National Stadium area. That area at one time, 40, 50 years ago, was a working class community. Black and white people lived there, affordable housing. The city didn't invest money in it, didn't fix up the public housing. This area deteriorated. The baseball team came along, the Nationals came along, so we can redevelop this area. They displaced all the working people from the area. They gentrified it. They made it an attractive place for relatively well-off people to live. And I feel that the same process will occur in the Robert F. Kennedy area. It's not a good investment for working people in this community. It only benefits the billionaires and the politicians that the billionaires support. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your time and for your testimony. We appreciate it. Our next witness is joining us here at the John A. Wilson Building, Carmen Jean Baptiste. Good night to you. Thanks for being here. You can begin your testimony. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, council members. My name is Carmen Jean Baptiste. And I'm a resident of Ward 7. I'm here to testify on the Mayor Browser proposal. Mayor Browser proposal has garnered significant support due to the comprehensive plan for revitalizing the RFK campus. Here are some of the most persuasive argument in support of the proposal. Economic benefit, job creation. The proposal is expected to create approximately 14,000 jobs during the stadium construction phase and 2,000 permanent jobs, boosting the local economy. Revenue generation. The stadium and surrounding development anticipate to generate around $4 billion in total tax revenue and yield over $15.6 billion in direct spending over 30 years. Private investment. The Washington Commanders will drive a $2.7 billion investment, the single largest private investment in DC history, to build a state-of-the-art stadium. Not forgetting community development, affordable housing. The development plan includes at least 30% affordable housing unit, contributing to the city effort to increase affordable housing option for all. Park and recreation for our kids, youths program. The purpose reserved 30% of the RFK campus for park and open space, providing much needed green spaces for the community. Community facilities. The new sportplex will build and host year-round sporting event tournament for youths in DC. Urban revitalization, transforming unutilized space. The RFK campus has vacant blighted for years. The purpose aimed to transform it into a vibrant neighborhood with mixed uses. Catalytic investment. The project follows city's successful model of using sport investment to transform underutilized space, as seen in Chinatown, Gallery Place, and Capitol Riverfront. Partnership with collaboration, bipartisan support. The proposal has received bipartisan support with congressional leaders advancing the legislative. Community engagement. The city will continue to engage with community members and neighborhood during the campus planning effort to ensure that the development reflects the community needs and priorities. I'm a CEO of Spirited One LLC, a CBE in the District of Columbia, and I also minority own.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Our next witness is Jerome Page. Thanks for joining us. You can begin your testimony. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much.
If you could press the button at the base of your microphone. There you go.
Just as an aside, I've listened to all the testimony today, and it's quite revealing. A lot of good information for decision makers. My name is Jerome Page, and I'm been in Washington, D.C. since 1965, except for about 18-month period. I reside in Ward 4, and I work as a consultant in economics, business, and community development. A few witnesses ago, Chairman Mendelson mentioned that there was going to be an economic impact study commissioned by the council. If I heard that correctly, I wanted to add some of my comments on what constitutes a good economic impact study. In fantasy football, fans build dream teams using fake budgets, inflated stats, and no real consequences. The report that was issued by CLS in June of this year talks about benefits, but the numbers rest on weak assumptions, hidden inputs, and wishful thinking. Even the firm that wrote the report says that we shouldn't rely on their work for policy decisions, yet the document is included in our policy discussions. As an economist, I've reviewed the report using the same professional and legal standards applied in court to test expert claims. The current report fails on multiple counts. 1, no clear explanation of methods, baselines, or margins of error. 2, no testing of what happens if things go wrong. And 3, no way to verify the numbers or check the source data. The CSL report offers, what it offers is not solid analysis. It's a feel-good story dressed up as evidence. The key issue isn't the stadium itself, it's who captures the value of public investment and as a result of the policies pursued. So I encourage the council to, if they're going to engage upon an economic impact study, that they make sure they follow the protocol for best practices. I've submitted as part of my testimony an analysis of the CSL report, and as a part of that, I've included an evaluation checklist to look at what constitutes a valid economic impact statement. So thank you very much.
And thank you for your testimony and for submitting your written information as well. Our next witness is joining us virtually, Tyler Sylvester. Thanks for joining us. You can begin your testimony. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Firstly, I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to all of us today, and I hope you take seriously into account our testimony. I'll get straight to it.
I'm not sure what happened. Maybe you moved away from your microphone. We could hear you perfectly when you first started, but then you began to fade.
Is this better?
That's much better.
Okay, I'll get right into it. I'm what you could describe as an ancestral fan of the Commanders. Growing up, the game on Sunday was just about as important as going to church, sometimes more depending on my father's mood. And my grandparents were both season ticket holders to RFK Stadium and would tell me stories of all the time rocking those balconies. My dad would tell me of their triumphs in the 80s and 90s, and our dining room was even burgundy and gold. But growing up in the shadow of Dan Snyder and in the football wilderness, those are the stories that sustained my fandom. And when I heard about JD5 coming to play in RFK, I'll admit I was exhilarated. But this deal spits in the face of DC taxpayers. I urge you not to sell us out for the cheap legacy of our current mayor. Let me be clear. I want the Commanders back in DC, but not at the expense of DC residents. The RFK campus has so much potential to expand the district, generate revenue, and improve upon the lives of everyday Washingtonians. What this deal does instead is force taxpayers to foot the bill for a billionaire stadium that we cannot afford to invest in. The inevitably over-budget dig required to build this foundation, we cannot afford to invest in this, especially not after the service cuts that you all rendered upon working people yesterday. Our region faces what is likely going to amount to a localized recession brought on by Doge. To give up this new revenue at every turn, like this deal does, is irresponsible at best and criminal at worst. To quote Gabrielle Gurley in the American Prospect today, bragging rights to an NFL team or sports capital status won't feed, house, clothe, educate, transport, or other ways sustain district residents, particularly when economic signals from higher unemployment rates to a real estate market suddenly flush with single-family homes and condos point to a stressful fiscal time ahead. For the team to just pay $1 in rent a year for what is nearly 200 acres of land while I pay over $1,400 a month for my barely 700 square foot apartment is personally insulting, not just to me, but to every tenant in DC. I don't expect some members of the council to understand this, as they've been handed many things in life on a platter, but others can legitimately claim they've worked their way here. To them I ask, why are you in civil service? Is it to further enrich the billionaire Josh Harris, or is it to serve the people of DC? Thank you, and you have a great rest of your evening.
You do the same, and thank you for your testimony. Our next witness is joining us here in person. Has been very patient. We appreciate the patience. Jacquellyn Connors, you can begin your testimony. You'll have 3 minutes. You can press the microphone at the, there you go, the button.
My name is Jacquellyn Connor, and I'm a bona fide resident of Ward 8, really into Ward 8. And my testimony is, we the citizens of Ward 8 do not want to participate in taxes to pay for this stadium. The people in Ward 8, they can't afford it, they're low income, and we want to make sure that you understand you're taking the tax money from the children, the senior citizen, and all the programs that you have that are going to benefit them. I don't know what's happening with the mayor. She's not thinking about the program, the SNAP program, the child care program, the quality of education for our children, and housing. I'm getting desperate here. The mayor doesn't think about Ward 8 people, because if she be considerate, she would not want to do that to us, as well as the people in Ward 7, 5, and 6. We can't afford it. We don't have that kind of revenue. We're not a country that can bring in revenue. All the revenue we come is coming from tax people. She's given all these contractors grant to build apartments and condos, which she don't let a few selected people move in. However, you don't even know it. You got 10,000 empty apartments right now and nobody's in them. 10,000 empty apartments and nobody's in them. But you want to build more. Why are you building more? You haven't filled up the one that you got. How much it costs to get in these apartments? The condo, 1 bedroom, start from $1,300. Efficiency start from $900 to $1,200, and the 2 bedrooms start from $2,300 and go up. 3 bedrooms, $2,400 and go up. So who can afford that? People in Ward 8 and even other wards can't afford it. Most of the people can't afford to even pay the prices to go out to eat or either buy groceries. Level of pay is affordable. Prices here is really, really not affordable. We keep talking about affordable house. What is affordable house? What's the price? And nobody has yet come up. What is the price for affordable house? What does the price start with? How much you can pay for affordable house? $200,000, $300,000. Most people here in Washington, D.C., their salary starts at $45,000 and go up. The next thing we want to do is do something for the elder. Most of the elder people doesn't know about the homestead program to help pay for their taxes. They have no idea that that program is available to help pay for their taxes. And we need, and the people of St. Elizabeth, you got the mental health, they put them out on the street, they have nowhere to go, nowhere to eat, they're standing out there, and you keep talking about what we're going to do for the people in Ward 8. Not only Ward 8, every ward have people living on the street. Why do we have people living on the street and you got 10,000 empty apartments? We need to go back, put these people in these homes, get them somewhere to live, and pay the taxes for them to live there. Stop giving it to the rich people. I don't have a problem with Magic Johnson. All those people got that money, but they got the money. They want to stay there. Let them have it. They didn't get it in Virginia. They didn't get it in Maryland. So why are we going to be the dumb bunnies and give it to them here in Washington, D.C.? Let them pay for it. They want it. Let them pay for it. They got the money. Give it to them. They don't have the money to pay for it. Move on and let it go. We can't afford it. So that's my testimony.
And thank you for your testimony, Jacquellyn Connors. And I want to thank each of the witnesses on this panel joining us in person and virtually. I'm going to turn to my colleagues to see if you have any questions for this panel, beginning with Anita Bonds.
Thank you so very much for your testimony. I'm overwhelmed by your testimony, most definitely. And Mr. Page, I've known you for many a year, and I know a little bit about the quality of your work. And so I would be very interested in hearing more from you about how do we look at the economics so that it's not a guessing game, because we don't know what the outcome will be on ticket sales or taxes from utilizing the garage. No one knows. But what we do know is the benefits that we have gotten through and from the Nat Stadium, as an example, the revenues that we've gotten through the use and having the arena. So how else could we measure if we don't measure from similar types of projects that we have in the city?
Sure. And what you've laid out, if put it in technical terms, is you've done a comparative analysis. You benchmarked your understanding against existing projects to determine and help make a decision about a prospective project. Perfectly legitimate way of going about it. We don't know the future. So where the CSL report fails, and it doesn't offer scenarios, it doesn't offer best case, base case, worst case. That's how you talk about it. So for example, all the assumptions are best case assumptions. All the assumptions are positive assumptions. And furthermore, the methodology that they use is outdated. They use data from 2017 for the basis of their multipliers, which doesn't take into consideration. They don't talk about unfolding scenarios. And that's a fundamental issue, that when you're talking about the future, you talk about scenarios. What if it doesn't materialize? Then who's on the hook for it?
Thank you very much. Thank you to the entire panel. Ms. Connors, I hear you loud and clear, and I hear what you're saying. And this is a project that we all are contributing to indirectly. It is a project that all of our tax dollars will be a part of the infrastructure. So it's not just Ward 8, it's not just Ward 5 where I live, or Ward 7 where I grew up, or it's all of us. You know, we'll have our funds tied up in it. And we're gambling that this is an investment that we're gonna get a larger return on. That's how I'm looking at it.
I just have one more thing to say, and I'm gonna shut up. We have 24 parking garages in Georgetown. You only have 10 in DC. The stadium seats 65,000 people. You allocate 1,800 parking space. Where are all those people gonna go to come to the game from Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia? Where are they gonna park? The rationale, I was told that the mayor said that we get a bus and transfer them back over here to the state. People coming from out of town is not gonna wanna go to Georgetown and park their car, get on the bus or train, come all the way over this town to park. So we're still talking about money that we don't have places to take care of this stadium, that we don't have to put these people. And people not gonna come here and park in these people's yard and fussing, cussing, the car is gone. So I'm just saying, you need to think about all these things about, it's more than more about the money. It's about the people who live here and work so hard to live here. It's too much money and we can't afford it. They got the money, let them spend it. What is y'all can't understand about they got the money, let them buy it if they want it. They want the stadium and pay for it. They go everywhere else, the millionaires go other states and sit and pay for it. You see, Virginia don't want them, then they
Thank you, Jacquellyn Connors.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Councilmember Anita Bonds. Appreciate that. We're going to turn next to Councilmember Felder.
Thank you, Councilmember McDuffie. Thank you to all of the panelists. I have no questions at this time.
Councilmember Lewis George.
Is my sound working now?
Yes, we could hear you. Perfect.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Actually, Councilmember Bonds asked and answered my question. The Ward for resident who talked about sort of where our data collection has been faulty and how we can improve it. So thank you for that. And I hope you have uploaded your testimony to the hearing management system. If you haven't, I'm going to ask that you would please email it to me.
I uploaded it, and I will also email it to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Lewis George. Councilmember Henderson.
I don't have any questions, Councilmember Duffy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Allen.
Thank you. Just given the hour, I don't have any questions, but I do appreciate everybody's testimony. I thought I heard a lot of good sense. Thank you.
Chairman Mendelson.
Thank you. Thank you to all the witnesses. I do want to just note this, Mr. Page, since you provoked or encouraged a conversation about the economic impact. I understand what you're saying about the CSL study. The analysis that our council budget office did, I think, is pretty good. And if you look at it, and it's available if you go on the council's website, I think you'll agree it's pretty good. It says that in the short run, meaning maybe the next 20 years, when the only thing that's there is the stadium, it's going to be profitable. And in the long run, when there's housing development, that would be more profitable. So I think it's sort of consistent with what you're saying, but a better analysis.
Well, I'll take a look at it, but I also was responding to your comment to one of the witnesses earlier that the council was going to do an economic impact study, if I heard that correctly.
Yes, and we did.
You said, oh, it was what you did, not what you were going to do.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's available online.
Okay, I'll take a look at it.
Thank you to all the witnesses, especially the ones in person.
I don't have a card.
The next panel is, hopefully I'm pronouncing this correctly, Nakia Petrovic Mujahid, Annie Halsey, online, Perco, is joining us virtually, thank you, Trice, James Avent. Chris Trice, got it. James Avent, Nicole Rland, perfect. Nicole Rland is here with us. Christopher Finelli, all right, is also here with us. Katrina Hostin. Gabe Murnoff. Dennis Chestnut, online. Ivet Alexander. Rahama Wright and Melinda Roth. And we're going to begin this panel with Annie Halsey, who's joining us virtually. Thanks for joining us. You begin your testimony. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to testify regarding the RFK campus redevelopment proposal. My name is Dr. Annie Halsey, and I'm happily a Ward 6 resident. My primary objective this evening is to oppose construction of a new football stadium. My contingency objective is to state clearly some of the elements that a new stadium must entail if this proposal proceeds. The section of Ward 7 in which the RFK Stadium exists is a floodplain, which we know is a vital ecosystem for many reasons. rainwater management, wildlife habitat, food system security, temperature modification, etc. As a physician, we're involved in work at the intersection of climate change and health. It is nothing less than deliberate sabotage of our very ability to survive, to consider compromising such an ecosystem. The evidence exists in vast swaths that we must protect nature, not manipulate and destroy it for myopic economic quote-unquote gains. Will we allow the rich history of our nation to be swept away when the Anacostia floods? This is the guaranteed eventual outcome if we allow the trajectory that the current RFK proposal suggests. We must protect and restore the Anacostia River and the wildlife habitats that it supports. We have an opportunity now to do the right and responsible thing. Posterity will not only live to see it, but will be able to thank us for our foresight and investment in life of all kinds. The indicator of climate change that my work revolves around is greenhouse gas emissions. And I think everyone in this audience is familiar with the term. But what many may not be familiar with is the fact that even if all greenhouse gas emissions were to cease tonight, the gases already present in the atmosphere would continue to warm the planet. We would continue to break natural disaster records, which are not the kind of records that we want to be breaking. For this reason, if a stadium is in fact built, it cannot burn any amount of fossil fuels. LEED certification, even platinum designation, is an insufficient standard to ensure DC's commitment to green infrastructure and zero net emissions. As a Ward 6 resident, a family physician, and a concerned human being, I implore you to consider what you will set in motion when it comes time to vote on this proposal. Do you want to send a message of life for all DC residents, particularly those in wards 7, 6, and 8 nearby, and the natural world that supports all of us? Or do you want to sell a priceless legacy for a few million short-lived dollars and move our nation's capital closer towards the precipice that climate change has already brought to our front yard? The choice is yours, and you were elected by our constituents to do the right thing. I fervently hope that you will, and I thank you for your attention at this late hour.
And thank you for your testimony. We really appreciate it. Our next witness is joining us virtually. Perco, you can unmute yourself, begin your testimony. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. Hello, council members, and I thank you all for being here so late and for having, the patience and time for us tonight. My name is Ange Perco. I'm a community member from Ward 4. My pronouns are they, them. And I appreciate the fact that already, sir, that you are calling me just Perco as opposed to Mr. Perco, as I do identify as a trans non-binary person. I was in the dentist's office last Thursday, sitting in the chair addressing some long overlooked cavities. My dentist informed me, actually, that in the last few months she has seen an astronomical rise in stress-related dental issues in a way she hasn't seen since the start of the pandemic in 2020. Unsurprising. Much to my surprise, though, which I see on the television screen, but Chairman Mendelson discussing the passing of the stadium financing, which I found confusing as I thought there was meant to be a public hearing first, where the members of the community that the stadium is being built in might have a chance to share their thoughts on how it impacts their lives. I was also in the room yesterday, July 28th, when I saw the council repeatedly undermine the will of the voters and choose business interests over the people of the city with the constant excuses of, but wherever will we find the money? Hundreds of millions of dollars for a stadium, but the child tax credit goes unfunded, I guess. This is just another example of an issue that we seem to routinely run into with both the mayor and now more and more with this council. Now, I am so grateful that some of the other matters I have come in and made my feelings known about were addressed in the most recent budget, the return of the community school and educator wellness funding in particular. Thank you for that. However, I find it frustrating that this council and the mayor apparently are unable to distinguish between needs and wants. Sure, we all want a nice, shiny new stadium where locals and tourists can go spend all their money, and supposedly there will be many new job opportunities to stir economic growth. But who's going to buy the tickets? Prices have been steadily rising on a number of necessary goods and services over the past few years, and with the tariffs instituted by the federal government and other questionable economic investment choices as well, we can only anticipate that trend continuing, perhaps exponentially. Where do you think this magical extra money to spend on football tickets will come from when the rich keep getting richer while the middle class disappears? I have students sleeping on the streets and funding is being cut for vital programs to keep kids in school, but we need a stadium? Trump is trying to criminalize homelessness to the point of institutionalizing the unhoused. And God knows DC is struggling with making sure its people can't even afford to live within city limits. Thank you very much, Robert White. But we need a stadium. We've cut funding and support to public transportation, to housing, to the child tax credit, to TOPA, to education, to the things that people need to survive. But we need a stadium. Now, we need a deal that actually builds opportunities for us, the residents of this city, not for billionaire team owners. We need to invest in the people of DC who are struggling already. You ignored us on initiatives 82 and 83. You ignored us on the capital gains tax. At what point do you actually put us first? I do not for one instant believe these plans of the stadium bringing in jobs and tourism to such an extent it could possibly balance out the incredible harm building that stadium will do to this community. I want my city to be prosperous, but economic prosperity comes from investing in the people. And I'm out of time, but thank you. Invest in us, not in the billionaires. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your time. We really appreciate your testimony. Our next witness is joining us here in person, Chris Trice. Thanks for joining us. You can begin your testimony. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Chris Trice. I'm a resident of Kingman Park. I'm not necessarily opposed to a stadium at the RFK site, but I am opposed to it under the conditions of this current deal. I want to see the city invest in my community. I want to see more affordable housing. I want to see locally owned small businesses have the chance to thrive. Mayor Bowser argues that the stadium is the best means to those ends. I'm open to hearing those arguments, but only if the deal puts as much emphasis on the needs of DC as it does on the needs of the Commanders. As of right now, DC has secured very few benefits, and my neighborhood, Kingman Park, stands to lose greatly. The Commanders should pay fair rent for this land. The RFK grounds are too valuable an asset to watch the city give away at a time of fiscal uncertainty. I'm fine with giving the Commanders a good deal, but they should be paying market value rent, not a nominal fee of $1 per year. I would like to see the deal include clearer definitions of affordable housing, explicit language regarding the Commander's responsibility in building that housing, and a more aggressive timeline for the completion of those units. I'm strongly opposed to the 8,000 parking spaces that were promised to the Commanders and the plan to build 2 large parking garages in Kingman Park along Oklahoma Avenue. I would prefer that the city and the Commanders jointly invest in public transit options, including a new metro infill station north of the stadium. I would like to see the parking commitment lessened, and if any garages must be built, a specific agreement on a location acceptable to the surrounding community before any deal is signed. A stadium deal I could get behind will be based around these principles: clear and ongoing oversight of the project, expanding access to the site through improved public transportation, economic development that includes retail and mixed-use development, and a larger commitment of private funding from the Commanders. I believe that vague promises lead to failed projects. Any final agreement must include clear deadlines, measurable results, and enforcement provisions so that the community isn't left behind. I also believe that rushed processes lead to bad outcomes, and this process has been very rushed by a deadline set forth by Mayor Bowser and the Commanders. We're talking about a football stadium, so let's talk football. What does the quarterback do when the play clock is winding down and he sees something he doesn't like? He calls a timeout. That's what I'm urging the council to do in this moment. Take time. Don't rush this. Many people took time out of their busy lives to come here and testify. Show us that this mattered. Take the time to consider our words. Please don't rush this decision. Don't rush this vote. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Our next witness is also present with us, Nicole Rland.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Mendelson, DC members of the council, and I would like to acknowledge my Ward 7 council member, Wendell Felder, who's not here. I am Dr. Nicole Rland. I am a resident of Ward 7 with a PhD in microbiology from Howard University and a biochemistry degree from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. I'm also the founder of an environmental services company in the District of Columbia and a published author. I've served as the Director of Operations at Fielding Graduate University, working with HBCUs on STEM leadership, and the Director for Howard University's Office of Research Development, opening its interdisciplinary research facility. I'm here to express my support for redeveloping the RFK Stadium site and welcoming the Commanders back home. I urge the council to make the future of the RFK Stadium site a global model for environmental sustainability and equity. This redevelopment must integrate state-of-the-art green design. Equally critical is access. This site should not become another car-centered venue. It must promote alternative transportation, fully connecting to the Anacostia Riverwalk Trail, specifically supporting the Shepherd Branch Trail part of the abandoned CSX Railroad that transverses Ward 8 to Ward 7 along 295. Residents should be able to walk, bike, transit safely to and through this space. My vision is a thriving, cleaner, and greener DC where vibrant trails connect residents to parks, nature, and each other, building joy, wellness, and community pride. Let's ensure RFK reflects that future, designed with sustainability, equity, and the voices of Ward 7 and 8 at its core. Thank you for your time. I've submitted my fully written testimony for the record and look forward to continued collaboration. Thank you.
And thank you so much for your testimony. We appreciate it. Our next witness is Christopher Finelli. Thanks for joining us. You can begin your testimony.
Thank you. Good evening, council members and staff. I am Chris Finelli, treasurer of the DC Firefighters Association, Local 36. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today and listening to the perspective of the city firefighters. 1988 was the last year the city opened a new fire company. That was 37 years ago. In the 1990s, the city closed companies, and 2 of them remain closed. In the last 20 years, the city has seen substantial infill development and a reallocation of land for high-density housing, tens of thousands of new housing units without a new fire company or a new firehouse. The claim has been that existing firehouses and response capacity has been able to absorb the additional call volume, but a fire truck or ambulance can't be in 2 places at once. We should not be borrowing units from an existing neighborhood to support a new neighborhood. And adding 6,000 new housing units, 20,000 new residents, an entertainment district, a sports complex, and tens of thousands of visitors without increasing fire and EMS capacity would stretch an already taxed resource dangerously thin. And it's not just an operational issue, it's a public safety risk. So we can't afford to treat emergency services as an afterthought. A new firehouse should be a part of the master plan from the beginning. It's about proactive planning, and it's also about equity, making sure that new developments don't compromise the safety and response times of existing communities. We represent the basic fundamentals of municipal government, and we should be considered a part of the infrastructure improvement when a site such as RFK is redeveloped. I respectfully ask the committee to include language in the redevelopment bill or the comprehensive plan budget that ensures emergency services infrastructure, particularly a firehouse, new firehouse, is fully funded and integrated into the overall project. Our union has also long sought an appropriate and dignified location to establish a memorial honoring the 104 brave men and women of our department who made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. As of now, no such dedicated site exists. It's a void we feel deeply as we work to preserve their legacy and honor their service. Local 36 would be honored if such a memorial space were allocated within the redevelopment. We see it as profoundly fitting to establish this memorial on shared hollow ground near the site that honors Senator Robert F. Kennedy, a man whose values so closely align with our mission and history. Senator Kennedy lived each day in the service of others. He was a staunch supporter of organized labor, a fierce advocate for equity and justice, and someone who saw cops and firefighters not just as civil servants, but as his people. It is our hope to move this vision forward in partnership with city leadership, the Washington Commanders, and the families of our fallen. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today.
And thank you for your testimony. We really appreciate that testimony. Our next witness is Rahama Wright, who's joining us virtually.
Good evening, Chairman McDuffie and members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on the RFK Campus Redevelopment Act of 2025. My name is Rahama Wright, and I'm the founder and CEO of Yelling Beauty Makerspace, located on Benning Road, just minutes from the RFK site in Ward 7. Yelling Beauty is the first and only shared manufacturing facility in DC dedicated to supporting early-stage beauty entrepreneurs, primarily brown and Black founders and women-owned businesses who face persistent barriers to entering and scaling in the beauty and wellness industry. We are not a typical business. We are a catalyst for economic equity, innovation, and inclusive growth. The redevelopment of the RFK site is a historic opportunity to reshape Ward 7's physical and economic future. And we applaud the council's revisions to strengthen local tax revenue and introduce dedicated funding for transportation infrastructure. These are critical steps, but for this redevelopment to fulfill its promise of equitable impact, the legislation must go further. First, improve support for local businesses beyond vendor set-asides. The current 10% vendor set-asides for CBEs in Ward 7 and 8 is a start, but it does not go far enough to ensure access to the long-term opportunities created by RFK's transformation. Our businesses need more than procurement. They need space, visibility, and affordability. Some of our recommendations include increasing a reserve from 15 to 20% of ground floor retail space for Ward 7 based businesses and underserved businesses. Offer sliding scale or subsidized leases for qualifying local businesses, and creating local business incubation incentives to support long-term sustainability. 2, ensure transit equity through strategic investments. The $20 million for the annual transit fund is encouraging, but without intentional planning, physical infrastructure alone will not create equitable access. Many of our members and customers rely on metro, bus routes, and walking. Yet the current options are limited, especially during evenings and weekends. We want to recommend a dedicated portion of the fund to expand evening and weekend transit service and last mile connectivity. Also, ensure new metro station planning integrates with existing business corridors. For example, putting a metro stop at Benning Road. We also think that there's an opportunity to extend the DC streetcar from H Street deeper into Ward 7 with strategic stops serving local businesses and around the RFK site, and using the transit fund to prioritize a feasibility study and planning process. 3, strengthen the community benefits agreement, the CBA. It currently lacks detail and does not currently guarantee representation for small businesses, which is a critical oversight. We recommend that
Rahama, right? I'm not sure if you heard, but your time has expired. We certainly encourage, if you haven't already, to submit your written testimony to the council so it can be incorporated into the record.
Okay, thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Our next witness is Dennis Chestnut, who's joining us virtually. You can begin your testimony. You have 3 minutes.
Well, good evening, council members, and thank you very much for this opportunity to testify on this topic. My name is Dennis Chestnut, and I am co-chair of the Parks and Environment Committee of the Committee of 100 on the Federal City. While the revised terms outlined by Chairman Mendelson are an improvement over the term disclosed by the mayor in April, there are gaps in this multifaceted arrangement that need to be filled. And one area that I'm really focused on is the green space and recreation, which are subject to, is pretty much the subject of my testimony this evening. So the Committee of 100 calls on the DC Council to continue to rework the deal so that it better serves the district residents and the taxpayers. Restoring the health of the Anacostia River to become a fishable and swimmable river has been the goal and the mission of a number of residents, including myself, for many decades. And we've made tremendous progress on that, and we look to the city to continue to reinforce the cleanup and the health of the Anacostia River, which would also be a significant part of this development from a number of aspects. And I'll go over a few of those. One is access and connectivity. The riparian area along the Anacostia River must not be included in the lease to the commanders or in the 30% parks and open space set aside required by the federal legislation. improved safety, accessibility, and directness to the project area from neighboring communities and within the park area between activity nodes and the park areas. Create a park that is resilient, safe, and well-maintained with strong connections to communities and to the river. Restore and improve active recreation fields and other organized sports activities within the project area. The Committee of 100 has made recommendations to the council on artificial turf being installed in DC. Artificial turf must not be installed in any of these athletic or playing fields, and we recommend that it's not installed in the stadium as well. Waterfront activation, enhance the visitor experience and connectivity to and from the Anacostia River by celebrating the site's history, ecology, and restoration efforts through educational and recreational opportunities. Connect the RFK campus.
Dennis Chestnut?
Yes.
Your time has expired. Yep.
Okay.
And but you're very familiar with the council's
testimony has
process.
been submitted, and I implore the council to follow up with some of those things. Thank you.
No, thank you. I really appreciate you already having submitted your written testimony. It'll be incorporated into the record. Our next witness is joining us in person. It's former Ward 7 Councilmember Ivet Alexander. You can begin your testimony. You have 3 minutes. It's great to see you.
Thank you. It's great to see you all, too. Thank you, Chairman Mendelson, Councilmember McDuffie, Councilmembers Allen and Bonds. I really appreciate you still being here. I first off want to state that I want to attach the sentiments of one of my neighbors and someone who testified earlier, Nkosi Bradley. We have a comprehensive community benefits agreement, and I want to thank Councilmember Felder. He put together a group of Ward 7 residents who comprehensively went to community meetings. We went to listening sessions. Many of you attended those sessions. We went throughout the ward. And I want to state I wholeheartedly do support the stadium and the team coming back to the site at RFK, but it does not come carte blanche. We do believe that there needs to be some benefit primarily for Ward 7 and then for the rest of the city. So we have a community benefits agreement that I know the mayor, the commander's front office, and the council will do their best to make this enforceable, to make this stick to the promise for the residents of Ward 7. I'm really excited about this project. I've heard a lot that people are talking about affordable housing and money that we're giving away for the city with no return. I truly believe there's going to be a return, and we neglect to talk about there's an adjacent property as well, Reservation 13, that has approximately 70 acres. And I can tell you from the time I was on the council until now, it's pretty much remained undeveloped. There has been some beginnings in the phase 1 of development. Whoa. And I want to let people know that there has been included a facility for homeless women that are housed, about 100 homeless women on their site. There is residential housing there now that includes affordable, workforce, and market rate housing. And there's plans for phase 2 for home ownership opportunities, for more rental and affordable property, and other retail amenities that are coming. But I can tell you, once that stadium is brought back to life at that RFK site, it is going to, it's going to be a catalyst for more development, for more retail, for more entertainment, for more revenue, not just for the construction or not just for the 13 games per year, what have you. It's going to be a catalyst for the overall redevelopment of that site. There's no other ward in the city that is as challenged as Ward 7. Every other ward has a destination Every other ward has full amenities, but we have long awaited this in Ward 7. And that's why I know that it's so important to have a catalyst that will bring more development, that will bring retail, that will bring entertainment, that will bring revenue and jobs to our residents in Ward 7. So please take a comprehensive look at the community benefits agreement that we worked so hard throughout all this year to bring to the commanders, to bring to the council, to bring to the mayor. It will be satisfactory. It benefits the entire city. I know I'm out of time, but I just would be remiss if I did not come in, because we have long awaited for many years, since the closing of DC General Hospital, since the closing of RFK, since the closing of the shelter. It's been dormant there. Councilmember Allen, you can attest to that too. We're neighbors across wards. So we really want the city to just know that these things are coming. The chairman is looking at the time. It is late. We've been in hearings till 3 o'clock in the morning. So this is still early, but I appreciate you taking the time to even include me in the witness
former council members
testimony.
get
And let's go, bring the commanders back, and let's do the best for our city with this deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivet Alexander. Thank you to everybody on this panel. I'm going to turn to my colleagues in a moment to see if they have any questions for this final panel before I turn to Chairman Mendelson to close this out. But before I turn to my colleagues, I want to just acknowledge and thank everybody who took the time out of their schedules to provide testimony on this very important measure. I've been on the council for 13 years, and this is one of the most significant measures that we've considered in my time as a council member. And the fact that we had more than 500 people sign up to testify, I think, is an indication of the import, the significance of what this means for the future of the District of Columbia, not simply for the folks who are elected in office today or the folks who live here today, but for the future of the nation's capital. And so we really appreciate everybody who took the time to provide testimony today, both in person, virtually, and written, equally as valuable to the council's process, and I want to thank you for that. Some of the folks we had heard from previously, be it at a community town hall or some other meeting or over social media, email. We've heard from residents across the District of Columbia over the last several months who have weighed in on this project, and frankly, I think have added a lot of value to the council's process, and I think made a good deal that we got from the mayor even better at this point. It was already alluded to earlier, but we did receive a letter today from the team that everybody's going to have a chance to see publicly, but I think when you see it, you'll note that it incorporates both the feedback from colleagues at the council, myself, over the course of negotiations, a lot of what residents have said they would like to see as a part of this deal is reflected in the feedback that we got in this letter. And so, again, another reason to appreciate this process that we've engaged in both today over the course of however many hours we've been here on this hearing, but as well, all the time that has been taken by residents, small business owners, since the council received this deal from the mayor months ago. It has really, really, I think, improved where we are today versus where we were previously. And so I want to thank you all for that. I want to turn to my colleagues, see if they have any questions or comments before we close out. Anita Bonds.
Thank you very, very much. I just have one burning thought and wondered if the firefighters had thought about a joint venture with MPD where we would have maybe a mini substation along with the fire station there. It just seemingly might make sense. Again, and recognizing that the 7th Police District is quite a distance away from that whole corridor area. And you might want to think about a dual purpose facility. So.
Thank you.
Yes, and I just thank you very much for your testimony.
I don't know if any planning had been done on a joint facility, but I'm sure there would be support for that.
Yeah.
Given the need for both sides.
Yeah, and a fireboat as well, because 10-to-1, as we grow, there will be water taxis.
Yeah, one of the challenging issues we face in that section of the river is there's a railroad bridge just south of the site, and our suppression boats can't get north of it. Okay. Only small inflatables. Okay. And even depending on the tide, you sometimes have to bend over just to get underneath it.
Okay, and shallow too.
And the next launch point is 3.5 miles north in Maryland, in Bladensburg. So as activity increases on that section of the river and into Kingman Lake, there will be a need to address, water service and marine capacity there.
For marine capacity, would the old Kingman's Island, would that be a location where water taxis could disembark?
I am not sure. I do know, though, we're currently working on a secondary fireboat station in Georgetown, and it's a tremendous amount of work to try to determine exactly where it should be located, given all the environmental considerations. So, but I'm not aware of anything at Kingman.
Okay, I was just very curious about that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And thank you, Councilmember Bonds. Councilmember Lewis George.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, just thank you to all the witnesses who have shown up throughout this day. A special shout out to all the Ward 4 witnesses who have shown up today. Truly, truly appreciate your input as well. I did have two questions. I first wanted to come to our DC's bravest fire department and ask basically what infrastructure needs do you all want to make sure is sort of considered beforehand, baked into this deal? We want to make sure DC Bravest is able to do their job and do it effectively. So I just wanted to know what is important for us to make sure is sort of a part of this deal, infrastructure-wise for you all to be successful at doing the incredible, courageous work that you do.
Well, it depends on how much time you have, but and we can follow up with some additional information.
We're usually here till they've been here till 3 a.m. So now
it goes without saying, because that is it's a very busy area. The 4 closest firehouses are some of the busiest, if not the busiest, in the city. So Engine 10, which is second due to RFK, was the second busiest engine in the country in 2023. 7,000 runs. Yes, so they go on a tremendous amount of runs, and we can help because we've collaborated before with the department on GIS studies that do travel distance and time analysis through our international GIS team. So we can determine collectively like what resources are needed there to meet some of the response times per the NFPA. It worked well for us because we actually used that to encourage Truck 1 be put at Fort Totten, which has another pretty glaring gap in coverage. So we'd be happy to follow up with you on that information.
Please do follow up with me, and let's have that conversation because I think it's a critical part of when we talk about infrastructure. We've been talking about transportation, but also we have to talk about the public safety nexus that exists and the demands that will be there as a result. Councilmember Ivet Alexander, I wanted to come to you. One thing that has come up for us, and I know you've been a part of the work in Ward 7, is that usually CBAs are not a part of legislative language, I guess is what I'm being told, and that we may not get the full details of the community benefits agreement before we vote on Friday, but maybe general terms. That makes me uneasy because I know that the community benefits agreement is such a critical part, especially for Ward 7 and Ward 6 and Ward 5 neighbors. What assurances within the general terms that we do see from the CBA is important for you all to see as we consider, being affirmative on this deal?
We have categories, and I'm willing to share it with you, but we have 6 major categories. Infrastructure is one, public safety is another one, the youth engagement is another one, jobs, another one. So I would love, we have about 6 major features to that, and it would benefit the city. And I was hoping that the mayor, along with the council, when you vote on this deal, the power's in your hands, that you could make the commanders, agree to this, to this community's benefits agreement. So I'd be more than glad to share it with all of the council members. And you can look it over, and it benefits the whole city. I mean, first and foremost, Ward 7, but it's for the benefit of all the residents in the city.
Now, I think the
Councilmember Lewis George, you're
I got 3 minutes.
No, you're about a minute and a half over your time.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Okay, thank you to all our witnesses, and Yvette, your hair looks fabulous, by the way. Thanks so much, and have a good night.
And thank you so much, Councilmember Lewis George. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you to all of the witnesses on this panel. Mr. Finelli, I think you brought up a really good point. As we think about, there's a lot of conversation today specifically about the stadium, but the RFK site in its entirety, we're talking about over 180 acres. And when we're talking about adding more residential to an area, we have to think beyond just utilities and sewage and water and sidewalks and roads, but also how do we ensure that that part of the city as it's being built is also connected to the other pieces of the infrastructure. And so I thank you for being here. And it definitely has been something that we have brought up in conversations with the mayor's office as well as with the team around ensuring that we don't forget these parts, whether it be fire, whether it be an additional substation or something to that effect for MPD, but also the other pieces that go to make up community, green spaces, if there was going to be an additional playground on the Hill East side, all of those different types of things are things that we just have to sort of consider. Former Councilmember Alexander, thank you for being here as well and for speaking in terms of the CBA. Lots of Ward 7 residents have brought that up today in terms of their communication. And I've looked at the document once it was posted online, and I wish I could give the full-throated endorsement to it, but as an at-large member, I also have to be concerned that residents in Ward 6 that are also close to the site and Ward 5 that are also close to the site didn't have an opportunity to fully engage in that process. And so I look forward to us being able to talk more about that. But I do feel like what you all put together is a great foundation for how we think about going forward, if we go forward. And so I want to thank all of the witnesses who testified today. It's been a long day, and so I'm gonna stop there. I appreciate you all hanging in with us, especially those of you who are still in the chamber in person. Thank you, Councilmember McDuffie.
Thank you, Councilmember Henderson. Councilmember Allen.
We're close to the midnight hour. Mr. Finelli, I wanted to thank you. I appreciate that a lot of my colleagues have picked up on this. I've been talking about this for the last couple of months. It is also not fair to say, hey, what are you going to do about it? Because that's not your job, that's ours. There is nothing in this deal. There's nothing in this deal. There's nothing in the commitment letter that came from the commanders tonight. There's nothing in the mayor's proposal. There's nothing in the budget that builds a new station. We have Engine 8, which is over at 15th and C Southeast, which is one of the tiniest ones. You can't even fit our ladder truck in it. And then we got Engine 10, which talked about being one of the busiest stations, which is at 14th and Maryland, right around there. Sorry, Florida, not Maryland. But these stations, if we're talking about 20,000 new residents coming in on top of an event that has 65,000 people coming, those stations don't get, they just can't handle it. So I have been very frustrated that we have not seen that. And I know when I brought this up during the budget hearing, Chief Donnelly said, well, we're going to do an assessment. We're going to do an assessment. We're going to take a look at it. We know how these things go. I mean, this takes years to load into a capital budget to be done. But more than that, because we're giving all the site to the commanders to be developed privately into housing and everything else, if it's not in there, I don't have a public piece of land to build on anyway. So that's why it has to be now. It has to be built in now. I know the commanders did the roadshow at every firehouse in the city, holding up placards and posting on social media. So I'd like to see that same level of urgency and commitment to this, to agree. We actually have some great examples. If I think about the house down on down in Southwest, where we co-located it in a new development, it works really great. But it has to be written into the plan. We have to get that going. So I appreciate you hanging in there until the very end of the day to make sure this is here. And I really appreciate whether folks are really excited about the stadium, whether they're skeptical of the stadium, I think everybody could agree this has got to be something that happens. So thank you for doing that. I did want to note, Mr. Chestnut, I saw your testimony, and so just wanted to thank you for speaking up on this. The commitment that we got tonight says the club acknowledges the sensitive location of the RFK campus within the Anacostia River watershed, as well as the need to use creative solutions to address the floodplain issues present on the site when constructing the stadium and mixed-use projects. It doesn't mention anything about our stormwater, doesn't mention anything about riparian borders, doesn't mention anything that you talked about. So I don't think it's strong enough. We heard about the floodplain issues, but we'll talk about stormwater management, all the pieces that have to happen along the waterfront. It's not there yet. So again, between now and Friday could be an eternity that a lot of things can still change and get better and get right, but it's not there yet. And I appreciate, Mr. Chestnut, you bringing that up. So thank you very much to my colleagues. Thanks again to this is the last comment here, just about to wrap up. Thanks again all the witnesses that came out throughout the day, submitted testimony, and got their voice heard. I know at the beginning, folks expressed frustration, and I want to make sure you knew your voices matter and they're heard, and we really appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Allen. Councilmember Felder is having a big problem trying to log in to give his closing statement, and so we're going to give him an opportunity really briefly. Councilmember Felder.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you, Councilmember McDuffie, as well as all of the council colleagues who are in person, as well as those who are joining virtually. I appreciate all of the public witnesses who have come out today to testify, specifically my Ward 7 neighbors. I think this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I appreciate all of the questions. And we, as the District of Columbia, we have a responsibility to get it right. So I appreciate everyone taking the time out of their day to testify. We look forward to keeping neighbors abreast with all of the changes, any future development, as Councilmember Allen and Councilmember McDuffie alluded to earlier. Some of the concerns that were raised from residents throughout this process were spoken to. And as the council member, I look forward to keeping that dialogue going. But I'm very excited for Ward 7 should this deal move forward. And I've said this one time, I'm going to continuously say it. it is Ward 7's time. So with that, thank you all. And Councilmember McDuffie, I defer back to you.
Thank you. Chairman Mendelson to close us out.
Thank you. So I think this was question round as well. I don't have any questions for any of you. I do want to thank you. There's a lot to be said, and I guess we will go through some of this at tomorrow's hearing, where the hearing will begin at 10 o'clock. It will be in this room, and it will be with the commanders or their representatives and the mayor or her representatives, where we will be getting into quite a bit of discussion with the issues that have been brought up by witnesses throughout today. So I'm going to close out this hearing, which has been on Bill 26-288. And well, I'm saying I'm closing it out, but I'm actually going to recess it till tomorrow when we have the second part of this hearing with the government and the